Take that last offer cut, or disappear into the water to initiate a dialogue sequence with our call, please coordinate your language and call 1952 225 That's just 952. Call number. Blanchard is my guest. She was the high priestess of the Church of Satan, and she is now the chairwoman of the Council of Nine. Blanche, welcome back. I would like to, if you don't mind, circle back. We sort of went right over it. What are some of satanic sins?
Satanic sins. The first one, you will not be surprised to know. The first one is stupidity. Because humans are, as I say, tend to be very short-sighted and selfish creatures. I'm not just selfish, but you are so short-sighted that you don't see the consequences of what you're doing. The long-term consequences of the word of humans and animals, and that's just something. Yeah, the second one is pretentiousness. It's frustrating. It's very irritating. They always have the idea that if you're a satanic priest, you should be able to take advantage of it. You have to be able to help with the guns ultimately. That's what made his philosophy so strong. What was his philosophy so strong? Because he was a very genuine person. Whenever he was there, when he was talking about Calvinism, a lot of times they want to talk about Satanism. He didn't want to talk about Satanism all the time. He wanted to talk about movies, or films, or films, or music, or hearing dreams. And, people were disappointed because it was a wonderful long time and that was his position. So if you were trying to really relationship with him, you walk away very happily. But he would say these things, and they sounded a little bit pompous or typical, whereas he perceived himself to be taking himself to seriously. He understood it as a joke. He had a whole repertoire of jokes. And that was one of the things that I wish he would be able to put together before he passed away. Was a book of satanic parables, which would have been all his favorite jokes. Well, that's a very good question, actually, because we have no way of knowing. He was the founder, he was the progenitor. Was this just a personality cult? Or did he create a philosophy of livings that actually can stand on its own and lead people to greater interesting achievements and interesting things? And I think the answer is we're doing great. We've got members all the time. We've got volunteers all the time. We're being productive. We're getting things moving and shaking in the world. He was a very strong leader. The tradition of the left-hand path is that you have to seek it out. There's a singular path, and it's a dangerous path. And so there are a lot of imitators out there, there are followers along the way, but if you're drawn to Satanism, and you like the metaphors, and you like what you've heard of Satanism, if you find it intriguing, we have the website, churchofsatan.com, it's a portal to all the activities that a lot of Satanists are doing right now around the world. It's got a lot of materials on there for the Satanism, it is a dangerous path, yes it is. Because it's a singular path and it will lead you as close as you can get to madness. What I mean by that is, if you are implicated with Satan's evil or your life, and you step into that world and you're not ready for it, then what their fear will act against you. You will conjure forth because the whole idea is that we're conjuring things, we're focusing our energy on what we want to achieve. But you can undercut yourself. You can actually hurt yourself if you're feeling guilty or you're feeling afraid or if there's any residual ill feelings. Now, this is purely psychological. This isn't magical. This is psychological. When someone is doing something that deep down inside they're conflicted about, you can manifest it physically with pain, aches, headaches, stomach upset, and drawing all kinds of terrible things into your life. So it's not for everybody. As I say, it's a particular vibration that people find brings them joy, happiness, and inspiration. But if you never find that from Satanism, run away and run away fast.
You know what we need more is just break. I don't think we can do it per se. It's dangerous. But I have a very, very bad experience with that I will not discuss and have publicly. I think that it is the intent of the users of that word that brings about some of the bad experiences people have had with them.
I'd say you're definitely on the right track with that. I would also say that, as I was trying to explain, if you have any residual doubts or fears or guilt, then it's a good medium for those things to look at you and start attacking you. But again, not from something outside, you're contributing for I think that we create conduits for dimensional ones. And creating our own goals also doesn't necessarily magically happen.
Some more sense we've got to consciousness.
The third is solipsism. That means expecting everybody else to be like you are. You're a moral person, ethical person, you have certain demands. You're vulnerable to somebody that comes along and tries to steal your money because he doesn't have the same values, but he might give you a wonderful line to try to convince you to part with your goods. So you have to be on guard. That's the essence of solipsism. We have to be constantly vigilant and look through illusions that people are trying to, it's very Machiavellian.
So, anything else on cultural attention?
Let's see. Self-deceit, conformity, and the last one is lack of aesthetics. That's just a terrible sign.
Lack of aesthetics.
Yes. Well, it's part of lesser magic, really. It's a way of applying aesthetics. And again, it does evoke a certain magic.
And with my pride is Grant Martin. I've broken many comments, that's for sure. Grant was the high priestess of the Church of Satan. She is the chairmistress of the Council of Nine. And we have been discussing Satanism. It may well be that your view of Satanism, or what you thought you were going to hear tonight, is not what you're hearing tonight. You may be surprised pleasantly, or you may be scared. It's hard to say. I think there's a lot of both out there, frankly. Blanche, have you ever regretted being a Satanist?
No, one moment. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and that's the interesting thing, talking about 50 years of the Church of Satan. And one of the questions is, does it act as a religion? Does it help you guide your life to prosperity and happiness? Does it help you work within the community? Is it just, put on black clothes, listen to heavy metal music, Marilyn Manson, and piss off your parents or something? Or is it something that can actually lead you through getting a job, going to school, having children, raising children. Yes, well, yes, and it's a foundation for a lot of people who have been making mistakes now. And the most gratifying thing that happens to me sometimes now, and I'm humbled by it, is when people come up to me and they say, Miss Barton, I read your books. I was a teenager, I was being rebellious, I went to Satanism, I found out what it really was, and it really changed my life. And now I'm a successful attorney or, video producer, or, whatever they're doing with their lives, but they've made a life for themselves, they're married, they have children, they're happy. And that's very gratifying.
Interesting experience. Tonight is Matt. You're on the air with lunchtime. Get back away from your microphone. Wow. Is that better? A little better, yes. Thank you.
Okay, I have to say, tonight's show is very controversial, which makes for excellent radio.
Well, look, I'm not afraid I'll talk about anything that's interesting in this video, so.
Blanche, first of all, I'd like to say I greatly admire your conviction to your beliefs. Obviously, it requires a lot of bravery and tough skin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, now.
There are two topics I'd like to bring into the conversation. Number one, a little thought experiment. Hypothetically, if there was an evil cosmic entity, not necessarily the devil per se, but let's say in the very nature of the cosmos, there is a being that is pure evil. Would it not be that the best way for it to gain followers and supporters to do its will, to convince its supporters that what they're doing is actually for themselves? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and you're not the first person that has presented that idea, that the devil is ultimately, the liar, so you can't believe anything he says. But again, I use it as a metaphor for life. I use it as a representative of liberty. And if there was an evil, an absolute evil entity, and you could bring me proof that there was such an evil entity that was somehow logging my mind, then that would be a very valuable thing to do. But maybe this creature that you're talking about, it could be God just the same. He could be someone like God who's got these people under his control, and these humans are giving me all this energy, and I make them worship me, and it doesn't matter to them. I've got it worked so that there's this other guy that I blame all the bad stuff on, and if they worship me and they give me energy, then I get stronger, and it doesn't matter if I kill lots of kids or make people hate each other or kill lots of animals, they'll still love me. So, I understand where you're coming from, but, it's a thought experiment that doesn't go very far for me.
You expressed that you admired cultural and industrial trailblazers, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you might know that many businesses, like, for example, Apple, in California, are practicing mindfulness and meditation, which is principles of Eastern religions, belief systems that promote separation from the ego. Now, it seems that your beliefs are sort of contrasting that, but it's self-worship and, I guess, reinforcement of the ego. What exactly?
A lot of attachment going on here.
A lot of attachment going on, she said.
Oh. Well, there's evidence that meditation and mindfulness can increase productivity. And do you believe in karma? Do you believe and reincarnation, is there even the possibility of such things?
That's a karma. I would suspect so. But what's next? You would try it?
Well, I hope that there are consequences. I think that the way we perceive it is you're asking for the consequences that you get out of life. You conjure forth what you get. So yeah, there are definitely consequences for the actions that you take. As far as getting back to your idea about meditation and consciousness, yes, definitely. Strengthening your own mind, strengthening your body, being able to use yoga and strengthening the energies that flow through us. I personally am a great follower of that, and I think a lot of Satanists are, that we're bioelectrical beings. And if we can concentrate that, again, that's what magic is about, is concentrating our energies, aligning ourselves with our true core, and being able to release, bring in energy from around us and release it appropriately.
Okay, well, so as I listen to the interview, you think there is something coming, but if there isn't, there's a spell we'll take care of it, right?
Yeah, we take care of that. We're sort of the cleanup team.
You also asked about reincarnation.
My mind is open to reincarnation, quite frankly, because personally I've had some interesting experiences along those lines, like with the Ouija board. I don't need to go into them. But my mind is open to a lot of things. Like Lewis Carroll said, I try to believe 3 unbelievable things before breakfast.
Wow, your mind is open to reincarnation. Here's something Donnie said. Donnie said, ask your guests about Anton LaVey's deathbed confession. Accepted. Christ on his deathbed. It's all over the truth and this is true. It's not.
I am here to tell you that I was present in those final moments. And there was no confession, there was no words. We all had moments of, oh my God, please forgive me. He had become more determined to look into his philosophy because he saw where the world was going. And he knew that he needed to be a voice for that.
Okay, so Cherry, out there, you're on the air. Where are you? Hello, can you hear me? Where are you? In Cincinnati. Would you call herself a witch? She said so. Let's get
Are recognized as a religious entity by the United States government, included in the chaplain's guide to military, chaplains servicing military people, and that's updated periodically. However, we do not take advantage of our tax exempt status because we're in services. Bible services is not church issue tax. So, as an ethical point, they can pay taxes. It's like that. Prisoners who contact us who say they have intimidating materials. And they do try to provide, it depends on the chaplain and the prison review.
They should have the right to practice things. The American preschool case, I believe one of the cases that he's referring to was one of the most expensive to date. Still, the most expensive and extensive court case in California history. Accusations were thrown around, including that kids were not during rituals that there were. They said that they making into a cake Heavy experience, Brian. All this is supposed to take place in tunnels. No tunnels were found, no lines were found. The most damning evidence that was found was camera. And I know that there was a lot of hysteria. There were shows to get attention. It was a reaction to the antibody found with practitioners, suggestions about practitioners and magic at this point. He was disgusted by the idea that and the young to try to get some kind of power from that. It wasn't just the audience. No frenzy, let go of our energy. All your inhibition become real human. No, that's the strength. Magical. Be ridiculous. Eternal damnation. The fire was given without one. It's that when you're like people are doing it police right now, you can go to whatever you want to. You know, they have to save their sympathy because they are unclaimed, they're demonic, and they are possessed. So you can humanize them and you can speak to them and whatever you want to them because they are the owners. That's very dangerous thing. It's not an us versus them. Everyone's human being. And we all have foibles, we all have faults, we all have strengths. And we have to get together to find out how to unsolve problems.
We'll be right back. I'm Art Bell. This is Midnight in the you indeed, listen very quickly. Let me get one more thing on everyone through. The number is 952 225 5278. 952 225 5278. Please Skype airwaves on North America and America. MITV 51. MITV 51. That's on North America, MITV 51. That's MITV 51. But now I guess, and he was the hostess of the Treatment Segment, and he is the hostess of the Council of War. Welcome back. A couple of computer messages for you. Dan says, she got the question. It was about harming children, not animals. Which?
Again, it's addressed in the Satanic Bible very clearly, and I think I've said earlier in this interview that we value children as our guides. They're the closest to their natural state. They haven't been inculcated with adults, guilt, and all the things that children are saddled with from a very early age in contemporary society. I love to interact with children, and we would not harm children, any children, as that's very clearly stated in the Satanic Bible.
Thank you for that clarification. Calvin asked, or says, hi, you guys been very well spoken and true. Would you like to comment on the Church of Satan trying to sue the state of Oklahoma to put up a statue at the Capitol? It seemed to me to be an attack on Christianity.
And that is not the Church of Satan. That is an unaffiliated small group that we consider rather laughable. They came off as sort of street performers. You know, they're trying to put some kind of wedge between. They're trying to create controversy regarding the church and state. But if they try to put this statue in, and that'll force other people out of the public square. The true satanic posture is articulated very well by our high priest, is that we believe in the founding fathers' vision of separation of church and state, not having any Buddhist or Hindu or Satanic or Wiccan or Christian association, because it's very dangerous when church and state are working in concert. You know, then you've got the civil aspects and you've got the magical aspects of the boogeymen that are going to hurt you if you don't do right. And our founding fathers were as close as they could be to deists. Most of the ones who were the real movers and shakers, Thomas Jefferson and Paine, they were deists, and they didn't believe in the God having real effect in your life. Of course, in those days you had to posture toward Christianity a lot, but they were free thinkers. I think that America is a quintessentially satanic country. You know, we grew right out of the scientific revolution and Enlightenment, and people like James Madison, John Adams. That's a whole different conversation. But
nevertheless, the founders saw the danger of rising and
precisely.
Okay, Charlie, somewhere or another, you're on your last part.
Hello, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And I wanted to say it's an honor to talk to both of you. I became a member of the Church of Satan in the early 1990s. When I was going to Southern Baptist Church and these groups, and they counted, the Satanic Bible, the ultimate evil book, and all this. So eventually I read the Satanic Bible, and it was like putting cold water, on my face. It was like it's just reason and logic and open-mindedness when it comes into the areas of the supernatural and magic. And so that's kind of what my take was. I became a member. I knew they were going to pound down my door and have me go to meetings and all this, just out of respect for the logic that was put down and given, to where I saw my ideals on page. It was like awesome.
Nobody pounded down your door.
I have two questions real quick. One for the Blanche. Are you familiar with the studies on the pineal gland in the human brain, essentially the third eye, and like DMT, the release of DMT, and how that kind of, I believe, goes in with magic and all that? And then also in your personal magical experiences, like for me, sometimes, I feel real strong, and then it's like I'll say weak sometimes in magical nature. And I don't think it's like because I'm physically sick or I'm into emotional stress, just like those waves of power or energy. Like, have you had that experience? That's all.
Right. Number two first, then we'll get the energy. Right?
Yes, things do come in waves. I think the wave has been proven to be essential to the earth in general. There's a waxing and a waning that humans are also aligned with. And within your own magical practices, it's probable that some days, and again, this has been measured scientifically, some days you feel alert and on top of things and right on top of your game, and other days you just feel sort of dissipated and not really concentrating. So, yes, I have heard about, the pineal gland and how that's, it's a real chakra there. They're very powerful ones. So, there have been a lot of people throughout the millennia who have talked about the third eye and its importance to magical meditation.
Okay. Drugs and Satanism, you mentioned DMT. Are there many who feel that drugs open the mind in a way, and surely they do? What do you think? What does the church think?
I can only refer back again to Anton LaVey. Of course, he started the Church of Satan in the 60s in San Francisco. 1966, the Summer of Love, there were people dropping acid all over the place, and there were people that were pointing to acid as a method, a gateway to wonderful enlightenment and concentration and new worlds and new achievements. And he had a hard and fast rule that he did not allow people that were drunk or high in the ritual chamber, because things could be very misconstrued, people could become violent, they could become distracted and distracting, and he felt that, that was not the way to perform magic, that you need to be concentrated, you need to be clear on your intent and what you're doing in the ritual chamber. So I suppose there are plenty of people that use recreational drugs, but again, if you're doing it illegally, then you have to suffer the consequences if you get caught. And if we know about it, then we'll probably get kicked out of the organization.
Okay. All right, let's go to Calgary, Alberta. Well, wait a minute, I didn't press the right button. Calgary, Alberta. Oh, yes.
Hi, this is Nick from Calgary. I am probably super tired of fielding questions about systemic ritual abuse, but I have one kind of a weird angle. That's okay?
Let's hear it.
Okay, in wake of the death of Jimmy Savile, it's a British TV presenter and entertainer, it seems that in Britain at least there actually was a massive pedophile conspiracy in the 1980s and late 70s. There wasn't Satanists.
Well, heaven knows there's pedophiles all over the world, sir.
Yeah, but it's conservatives. And this like the investigation has gone so far as to implicate former prime ministers.
And the point is,
Well, the point is, the question, how do you respond to, the moral hypocrisy? Because again, these are the same people who wanted to ban gay people from teaching, who wanted to exclude non-Christian religions, from public venues. And at the same time, it's now coming out that this desire.
yes, well, there's piracy all over the world. I mean, my goodness.
It's just which one is that comment on, the fact that again these are the squares of the squares. These are
there's no end to the height of hypocrisy. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, when he started talking about a massive pedophile ring, I thought he was talking about the events in the Catholic Church. I'm not kidding, because they were moved around and protected. That was a terrible breach of trust.
That's undeniable, absolutely undeniable. I don't know how the church ultimately is going to deal with it, but
I won't give it a cheap shot. I mean, it was terrible. It was an awful thing, but I don't then equate, all of Christianity with pedophiles. These were individuals that unfortunately were protected by a structure that didn't want the embarrassment, and a lot of children suffered abominably because they wanted to protect their structure. But they've had to look at that now, and they've had to own up to it and act appropriately. As for the conservatives, a pedophile ring, I would have to know the specifics. I know they would have to. I don't think that it's associated with Satanism, is it?
no.
No.
That's what I was saying. And I was saying there's no way. He was talking about conservatives and some of them being licensed pedophiles, and there is no end to that kind of hypocrisy.
Right. Of course, we're against hypocrisy. That's one of the reasons that the Church of Satan was founded, because of that hypocrisy.
Well, it's Angel, is that right on site?
Yeah, it's actually my name's Paula.
Okay.
Richards, California.
Okay, so that's what's on your site. That's all I can do is call you by what's on site.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Thank you for your enlightening discussions tonight. Sure. I'm actually interested in that. That I do have a question though. Why do you consider, I have many friends are Wiccans, and why do you consider them to not practice magic properly?
Well, if they're practicing magic and it's working for them, my only beef with Wiccans, well, two beefs really, is one, they worship a horned god, and if you're worshiping a horned god, I don't see why you don't just call it Satan. You know, you can call it Hand, you can call it Lucifer because it's more comfortable for you, but, you know, just up here and call it Satan, you know. Yeah, this happened because of like, I was talking to one of them later on, and I was like, just say that? But yeah, thank you. And the other point is that during the Satanic Panic, a lot of Wiccans were asked, you know, well, what about Satanists? You know, what do they do bad things? Or they were attacked. They were thrown into the same boiling pot of water with Satanists in these accusations. And instead of coming forward and saying, yes, I'm a Wiccan, I read about Satanism, I know Satanists, and they don't do bad things, instead a lot of them actually crawled on the bandwagon to protect themselves and said, oh, we're good witches, but those people over there, I don't know what they're doing. So I was really upset with that. That was a long time ago, granted. But there's still an essence of us versus them, good versus evil in there, you know, whereas I say, you know, don't put yourself in a protective circle, invite your demons in, you know, own what you are as a human being, and deal with that.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Thank you for calling. Interesting, very interesting, actually. Going to, I think, Colin John on the phone.
Hi, it's Johnny from Pennsylvania. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Am I over here?
Oh, you certainly are.
I apologize. I have one question and hi, Blanche. I have a question and an example. So the question is, you talk a lot about the human intelligence and how we're the better, smarter animals now. We're more vicious animals, and the next step of evolution is right at the top of the chain. The question is, can you conceive of an intelligence greater than man's intelligence that would require man to have faith? And the example I would use is Abraham from the Bible, who waited 100 years to have his son. And then when he had his son, God tells him, take him up on the mountain and sacrifice him, which seems crazy to us. I mean, I would have a really hard time with that. But then if you look at it 2,000 years later, God allows his own son to be sacrificed for a greater cause. So can you see that that's possible? Not necessarily right or wrong, just that there might be something.
So God did request that or order that as a proof of faith, right?
Yeah, it's faith. This is really faith against intelligence. Faith seems irrational, and it's always going to. But that doesn't mean it is. That doesn't mean it's wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I get your point. The first thing I'd like to address is the idea that I feel that humans are top of the food chain, more highly evolved than other animals. I think the point that I was trying to make, and that Anton LaVey has made with the seventh satanic statement that I read, is that because we quote unquote feel that we are so divine and spiritual and intellectual, we have become the most vicious animal of all, meaning that other animals are being the best animals that they are being. Humans don't always live up to their potential. They throw a lot of log jams in their own way. They're more afraid of their own success than they are of their own failure. And humans, like the spider, a simple spider or a bird, they're out there doing their dirty little things. They're doing the best they possibly can, and they use every resource that they can. They go for pleasure, they avoid pain, and they do it in the most efficient manner they can, which is what biologists define life as, is, those three elements. And so don't think that I'm saying that humans are so superb and wonderful compared to other animals, because I truly don't. But getting to your point with space, as a Satanist, I feel that faith is the ultimate betrayal of all we are as humans. You know, I understand your point about sort of giving yourself over to a greater power and trusting in that power, but I can't do that. I can't relinquish that. If I do that, if I give up my independence, my discernment, if I give up the ability to question things scientifically and challenge everything, I've given up everything that we've evolved to be over the last, few many years.
And I can certainly understand that, especially now in this day and age, we know so much as humans. We have, and if certain visions of reality can be believed, we have plunged into materialism and are cut off from what we used to be able to see as spirit.
So I'm sorry to do this for way short on time, and you can respond to that when we get back, but we've got to take a break. So, Blanche, hold on. What a show is what I would say. What a program. I suspect not what you thought it would be. Blanche Barton is my guest. I'm Mark Bell. And actually, it's going to be pretty serious evidence that JC had passed away. If not, he certainly would have been here. He's been absent from his Facebook page since before mid-July, and so just a moment of silence for he who would have been here. He could have been. And with that, back to Blanche, Blanche, I held this caller over because I don't think he was finishing his thought. Caller?
Yeah, just discussing plunged into materialism. It's very difficult now without prophets and things like that, real prophets to show us what God's really saying to have any kind of faith, because really all we have left is the way of human reason. Albert Blake talked about it in his songwriting, that it's something we don't even have superstition about or faith. That's certainly true. We don't. But it's not, for me, it's not enough. And I guess the real question is, I think the question is about everybody. Do you believe in your own intellect or man's intellect, or do you believe in God or faith or whatever you want to Christ, whatever you want to call it? I think there's something greater than that. It's hard for me to imagine that there's not.
Well, I'm a big advocate of materialism. What we can see, what we can feel, the human body, the human brain, our emotions. I'm a big believer in sins, and I'm trying to practice at least one a day. Less than gluttony are two of my favorites. But not to be flippant, I understand. He seems like a very sincere man, Johnny, and I feel that there is a lot of materialism going on in the world as well, and we're sacrificing happiness in a certain way because of it. And recently I was at a conclave, a gathering in Washington, D.C. of Satanists at the end of April, and I gave a little talk. And one of the things, it was a wonderful gathering with terrific people there from many different professions, and it was great to be in a room full of people that don't have to explain their basic thoughts to. We're all attuned with what we were thinking. But there is a difference between greed and satisfaction, and what we're doing to the earth is a consequence of unbridled greed and not looking down the road to see the consequences of what we're doing. And that is a real problem. But again, that doesn't come from somebody, Satan or some demons or some God whispering in my ear. That comes from looking around and seeing what's happening to our planet and crying about it. I mean, and wanting to do something about it. So,
Trey and Atlanta, Georgia, I think. Hey, how you doing? Very well. One of the first things that I want to end with yes, there's it's an honor.
thank you.
I was keeping, I just watched, Devin playing the Anton and Devin.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could tell us about his experiences with Ken Anger and Hollywood.
Yes, he had a wonderful relationship with Kenneth Anger. Kenneth Anger was again, in the 60s, San Francisco scene very much, and he's an innovative filmmaker. He used techniques that were sort of, I guess, in the psychedelic realm, but they're very effective films, and I know he has a lot of fans to this day. He influenced a lot of small films. And they were very good friends. I think he's sort of drifted away since Dr. Ray has passed. He's gone in other directions. But yes, they were very good friends for a long time. The Devil's Rain was a wonderful set to work on. Dr. Ray said he had a wonderful time. Wayne Shatner, John Travolta. The director was a great director. They were in Mexico filming, and he did lots of interviews with people who were interested in his philosophy. And yes, Ida Lupino was also on that cast. And yeah, he made some good friends, and they had a whopping good time.
We just coincidentally watched Paradise Lost, Childhood Memories of Love Novels. And for all the satanic people that still don't get how bad this paranoia was, watch that movie and realize what this madness caused and how it's ruined lives.
A lot of pain, and one element of it also that I didn't bring up is the separation. I mean, it's hard enough for teenage kids to talk to their parents and parents to talk to their kids, but when you've got this film between you, people from your church or people in authority telling you to look for your children, see if they're wearing black clothes or if they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, or if they have stained glass, or if they're spending too much time alone, they're really gathering Satanism and is maybe leading them to criminal activity. How can you possibly communicate with your child when you're signing the records that are giving them frantic inspiration? So it is causing a lot of pain for a lot of people. No one is there.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I'm actually very interesting course, and I hate to do this, but we're coming up on another break, so relax for a few moments. We'll come back and take the final full set of I guess the last part is I just the role of the church and state and is now there was just the council of God.
It's a good question, actually. I should have brought that up myself. True to our egotistic philosophy, our favorite holiday of the year is of course my own birthday. That's what I celebrate, and all my friends celebrate it, and tell me how wonderful I am, and give me lots of support. After that, we have Curtis Match, which is a traditional magical life. a lot of important things that happened in Woodstock, including the founding of the Church of Satan in 1966. And then after that, we like to celebrate, depending on, what your particular likes and dislikes are. But most of us acknowledge at least equinoxes and solstices and other dates that are particularly important to us, whatever our context is.
On the most important holiday thing, you got to buy yourself something really cool and expensive.
Absolutely. Yes. And usually very tasty.
John, you're on this line tonight.
Hello, Robert, and hello, Blanche. How you guys doing?
Fine.
Good. Okay, Blanche, I wanted to ask you, what my understanding was, after the passing of Antoine LaVey, that there was a kind of a schism in the Church of Satan between, like, Michael Aquino and Antoine LaVey's daughters, Zena and Bill. And I was wondering if you could tell me, give me some information on that, and maybe tell me if you yourself were involved, or if you knew anything about how the whole thing played out.
Okay, was there a schism?
No, there wasn't any schism. That's sort of one of those ideas, I guess, like Anton LaVey's deathbed confession or something. But it was really rather uneventful. I'd been acting in the capacity of high priestess. I took over as high priestess. I continued the philosophy until I passed the reins to Peter Gilmore, who was our present high priest, and doing a wonderful job of that. He has published a wonderful collection of essays called Satanic Scriptures, and I would, for further information about Satanism, I would definitely point people in that direction. And Peggy Drania is our high priestess. I think one of the keys to our survival after Dr. Lee passed away has been the continuity that we have. The people that are behind the organization that are articulating and clarifying this philosophy are absolutely in concert and have a deep and guiding understanding of all the aspects of what she put together in the philosophy of Satanism. And as I said, both the rational and the poetic sides, and the current sides, and the robust black capes and black candles side.
Going to the phones, you're on the air with Blanche.
Hi, Art. Hi, Blanche. My name is Dean. I've been in San Francisco my whole life, and I lived out in the Avenue, so I knew about the house out there, the black house out on California Street. Blanche, the last caller kind of touched on what I was going to talk about. In the 60s, from what I see, you're a little bit younger than me, and in the 60s, I was about 19 or 20 in the late 60s. And there were so many charismatic people like Anton. There's no doubt that he had a big ego. There's no doubt that he drew a lot of people around him. I picked up hitchhiking a couple of Satanists up on Mount Tam one time. His car had broken down. So I guess my question is, I know Carla. Not super well, but I dated her back when we were both 19, and I dated different. I heard that there was kind of a schism. The house ended up being boarded up. If there's so much power in Satanism, why all this bad blood, and why are you guys fighting among each other, and why did everything go south?
Well, as I say, I don't believe it did go south. I believe I've been trying to explain that we are alive and well, and that we're continuing to move forward in our philosophy. Carla and Zena, neither one were involved directly with the administrative side of the organization at the time of their father's death. Zena had, if you want to get into the messy details of it, it's not messy on my part, but it's rather embarrassing for her that she chose to disown her father years before his death and never reconciled with him. Carla had reconciled with him. They've been off and on. She had been involved in her life, and she had periods of separation from her dad, but she did reconcile with him toward the end of his life. But neither one of them were qualified to be in a leadership position within the organization. I don't think their father ever expected them to be. Carla had done some spokesperson roles in the early days, and she was comfortable with that, I suppose. But there wasn't, we're all cohesive and, moving forward with articulating what Satanism is and can be.
Well, I understand that she puts on this, what she calls Black Christmas every year, and I'm not clear, maybe you can clear that up. I thought that Anton and Carla and Zena were all Jewish faith before this all started, and before they went in Life magazine and posed and got a type of Hollywood, you know? Is that true?
No, that's not true. He was never, certainly Zena and Carla never got any inculcation into the Jewish faith. And as far as Dr. LeRay's inculcation, his mother told him that God is nature. That's all it is. And she didn't go any further than that. I think ethnically, we have ethnic background as being of a Jewish background, but he never practiced and he was never attracted to it. He was never brought up in that faith at all.
I like how Jeremy, you're on with lunch.
Hey, Art, hey, Doug.
Just great. Where are you?
I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And I'm actually the guy that emailed you at your other email address.
Good.
No problem. Yeah, two quick questions for Blanche. So according to your reviews, I'm not going to say consequences, but what are the non-benefits of not following the church's beliefs?
What are the non-benefits of that? You mean if you're an actual member or if you're just an adherent to the satanic philosophy?
If you're an adherent to the philosophy of the church.
Well, you mean like if you actually commit the sin of stupidity? Is that
what I'm saying is if you don't follow the belief system that the church promotes, what are the non-benefits of that?
Well, you don't get things the way you want them, and your life doesn't work very well. That's the consequences. This is a philosophy that advocates lesser magic and greater magic to move you forward in your life and find satisfaction and have a great party. You know, it's your party, and it's the only one you get, as far as you know. So if you're not having a good time and you're not being successful, then you're the one that's responsible for that.
Why do you take a lot of responsibility for reincarnation?
That's my own personal belief. That's not Church of Satan policy. That's my own speculation and romantic ideas.
And another question is, it seems like you guys are kind of borrowing the number 666 from Babylonian astrology. Is that true?
I don't think 666 ever came up in this conversation. It's not particularly interesting to me, other than that it interests other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm reading on your website, so what you're saying tonight is quite different from what I'm reading on y'all's website.
You're reading the Church of Satan website.
Correct, yes. It's like you're trying to promote like a materialistic intellectualism, but from what I'm reading on the website, it's quite a different story. So I'm trying to find out a little different pieces of what your thought was in terms of that specific member according to the church.
All right, let's get back to the question.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to ask. Does your official website, what is it, please again, Blanche?
churchofsatan.com.
That's what I'm at, yeah.
And you're saying things about embracing the 666 over there?
Yeah, it says the 666 is considered a shorthand signal heralding diabolism.
Yeah, that makes sense, Blanche?
Well, we do use the sign of the horns. Anton LaVey is getting the sign of the horns on the back of the Satanic Bible. And that, of course, has been adopted by a lot of rockers. But the 666 really doesn't have a big reference point for me or most Satanists, except for the amusement that other people seem to really give it a lot of potency.
They are based out of New York, right? The administration office?
Yes.
Okay, because your PO box is in 666.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yes, that's fun. Yes,
Well, I was asking that, there were two references to that number, so.
Yeah, it seems like they're more having fun with it.
yeah, exactly. Yes, I see your point. Yes, we do have a 666 box, and I have a 666 box for my newsletter as well. And it was available, and why not take it? Just because other people seem to think it's so important. It's kind of a wink. Just a wink.
Towards the book of Daniel is what it's a link towards. Babylonian astrology.
It's a wink.
If you wanted to link to that, sir, then it links to that. I guess people, think of their own make up their own ones, so I don't know. Indio, California on the phone, Blanche, hello.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Listen, everything that I'm hearing from her is pretty much the opposite of what I experienced. In the late 60s, he told us on a daytime talk show, and they said, oh, we're having a witches meeting tonight, and blah, blah, blah. And so my girlfriend called me, and she goes, oh, let's go. So we went.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked up to this house, and some of this girl walked up the stairs, and this lady entered the door, and we left. When it was dark, it was spooky, and here's the stuff left the bed floor, not there, pampered. And
I was about to, I think you're right.
pardon me?
She knows, she said leopard.
Oh, it was, okay. So we went into this meeting, it was a witches meeting. And I have never experienced anything like that. I felt it, Anton was very captivating. I mean, I can see why people were drawn to him. He was just magnetic. And this big chair, like a, carrying in with this, I remember this brass thing above his head on the wall, I guess, or something. And big fireplace, and the witches meeting, and then we got into how the witches were talking about how they had put spells on somebody and such and such happened to them, and it was like, he was going, oh, good, When I left there, I felt like I'd been to the Addams family house. It was.
It must have made quite an impression on you to remember it this many years later.
Oh my God, I'll never forget it. I mean, it was.
Well, I think he accomplished his goal.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, thank you very much. That was interesting. She did obviously remember it very clearly. Somewhere in California. Hello.
I'm calling from Hawaii.
Hawaii?
And actually, yeah. But, Art, I'm so glad you're back. You make my night so good.
Thank you.
Anyway, you guess. It's not very, very interesting to see avoiding the fact that this man is saying for such good things as doing the work of Satan. And I mean, I don't know, but his biggest trick is to convince you that he doesn't exist. So,
I would have to say that what she said is consistent with that.
but he doesn't exist.
Yeah, more or less. If you listen to the interview, she basically said that.
One last thing, I'll give you a look at that. So I remember as a kid, I would go by that spooky house and run by it. Hear all the kids and stuff. I heard that some neighbors disappeared after complaining about his pet lion in the backyard. Is that true?
Yes, I did. There was a film actually called Satanist. And it's wonderful. It's kind of hard to find, but if you find it, there were interviews with neighbors and talking about seeing the lion, and more visuals through the front windows, and they all seemed quite captivated by it. But yes, there were complaints about the rain, and we had to go to the zoo. It was heartbreaking for him because they were very close.
And those neighbors then disappeared?
Well, various things happened to them. I think there was some medical issues. Some of them moved away, as neighbors tend to do.
All right, Barbara, you're on the air with Blanche. Well, Barbara, yes, I hear you, but you sound very hollow. So, Barbara, listen to me. Barbara, hello, Barbara, can you hear me? Okay, you sound like you're in a hollow tone, so you're going to have to find the microphone on your computer and get really close to it. Or,
Can you hear this?
no, look for the little tiny hole. It's a laptop. It has a little hole there. You got to get right up to that.
How about this?
That's much better.
Okay. What is the policy of the Church of Satan regarding the afterlife?
Okay.
Our policy is that, we don't know, that there's not, enough evidence to prove that there is an afterlife. And since we can only assume that there is not, it's better to err in the direction that there is not and get the most out of every breath that you have right now, today, here and now, because we don't know what's afterwards and we don't know when it'll end. I see. So, then you don't believe that Anton is anywhere right now? I believe that he's represented in a lot of people who respect his philosophy. And that if we have any hope of immortality, perhaps that's all we get. I'm not sure that there's any entity that survives, any consciousness that survives. I could be wrong. I'm open to suggestions, and I'd love that to be true. But I don't have enough evidence to believe that right now.
We are at the end of the program. I just have no more time.